Good morning, dear student. Today I have take this class and fourth semester honors course, and my topics is game theory, and it is very interesting topics. Basically, game theory, everybody or everyone play a game, but today I discuss the game theory employ in duopoly market in the economics. So, next game theory has been applied to determine the outcome in the duopoly market. That means two players, two industrialists or two producer, they play the game, and what is their outcome, that means result of the game. So, the theory of game is applicable when there is a conflict of interest to be resolved. That means, to resolve, the industrialist or player employ the game theory, and duopolists are in the conflict if a move by one result in a diminution of profits of the others. That means, the duopolist, that means two players or two producers, they have played the game, and this is the game theory. And actually, what is game? If I think what is the game? A game is the whole set of rules and regulations of play. That means, a game, game theory, a game played by the players on the basis of some rules and regulation are there. A play is a particular realization of the same. A play is the particular application of the rules leading to definite result. Payments are made at the end of each play according to the outcome. That means, according to the outcome, we say the payments means what is the outcome of the result, what is the outcome of the game. And the games considered in the theory of games may involve an elements of chances. It depend on the strategy. That means, who will gain from the game, it depend on the strategy of the players. That means, it depend on the strategy. That means, what types of strategy employed by the players, what types of strategy employed by the producer, and then automatically outcome will the classification of game. The game classified on the basis of two criteria. One is the number of participants and another is the net outcome. On the basis of number of participants, that means 1-person game, 2-person game, 3-person game, like general n-person game. And second criteria is the net outcome. On the basis of outcome game, on the basis of outcome criteria, basically two types of game, zero sum game and non zero sum game. Now, what is zero sum game and non zero sum game? Zero sum game is one in which the algebraic sum of the outcomes for all the participants equal 0 for every possible combination of strategies. That means, two players are played the game, and from this outcome of the game is 0. That means, zero sum game. That means, no outcome from the combination strategy of the players. And next is non zero sum game. That means, a non zero sum game is one if the outcome of a game is different from 0 for at least one strategy. That means, at least one strategy success from the game, and he will gain someone, and then it is called non zero sum game. And next, the theory of game can be applied to a duopoly market. That means, main discussion for today, the game, how this game applied to duopoly market. That means, duopoly means two players, that means only two producers, and in that time how to apply that game theory in this market. And to apply it to duopoly market the game theory, we discuss this point, the duopolist A and B, that means duopolist, that means two players A and B is trying to maximize his profit. That in games, two players always try to maximize their profit. How to maximize their profit to play the game? This is the first objective of the game, and A's profit depends not only on his behavior or strategy, but B's strategy as well. That means A plays a strategy, that is does not mean he will benefit it or he will gain, but it depends on the strategy of B. And next, thus if A could control directly or indirectly the strategy to be adopted by B, if A control the strategy of B, then it is sure that A will gain, but it depends on the strategy of B. And next, he would select a strategy for himself and one for B, so as to maximize his own profit. If A play the game and A select a strategy for play the game, and he also control direct or indirectly the strategy of the B, then A is sure to gain from this game. But he cannot select B's strategy. But actual problem is there, the A not control B's strategy, karon B employ his strategy from himself and A employ his strategy from himself. That is the game. And next is the payoff matrix, where how determine the outcome or net outcome to play the both players A and B, and this basically analysis by the payoff matrix. That means payoff matrix for A, if we discuss the strategy outcome, how to gain by A or B, this is determined through the payoff matrix. And payoff matrix means we say the duopolist A and B, two players, and A has two strategies and B has four strategies, then the payoff matrix has two rows and two columns. The payoff matrix depend on the strategy of player A and player B. If there is a duopoly market, that is why two players A and B and two players play the game, and payoff matrix depend on the strategy on both players A and B. Say A has two strategy and B has four strategy, and outcome is shown in this payoff matrix. Here A1 is the one strategy of A, A2 is the second strategy of the B, and B1 first strategy of B, B2 is the second strategy of B, B3 is the third strategy of B, and B4 is the fourth strategy of B. And now A from the first strategy of the A, 8 is the outcome, 40 is the outcome, 20 is the outcome, 5 is the outcome. And next strategy from A, outcome is 10, 30, minus 10 and minus 8. And from this payoff matrix, we determine the raw minima and column maxima. Raw minima means two raw, here is two raw, and first raw, what is the minimum value of the first raw? First raw minimum value is the 5, that is 5. And second raw, what is the minimum value of the second raw? That means 10, 30, minus 10, minus 8, that means minima is minus 10, that is called raw minima. That means from the raw, we selected the minimum value from the raw 5 and minus 10. And like from the B strategy, that means 4 strategy of B, and from first strategy, second strategy, third strategy, fourth strategy. From first strategy is the maximum value is 10, second strategy maximum value is 40, and third strategy maximum value is 20, and fourth strategy maximum value is 5. And these values are called column maxima. That means from column we determine the maximum value. And next, in payoff matrix, a payoff matrix, A's outcome has mentioned in rows and B's outcome in column, which is already shown in this payoff matrix. And next, the profit of one duopolist is equal to the loss of the other duopolist. That means, if the profit of one duopolist, it depends on the loss of others. From this all discussion of the game theory, basically we assume some point. These points are, there are exactly two players with the conflicting interest, and the number of strategy available to each player is finite. For each specific strategy selected by a player, their result payoff matrix and the amount won by one of the player is exactly equal to the amount of lost of the others. That means, one players will gain and other the same amount of losses. Thank you.